Tri-City Sports Now is back, and we are very happy to be joined by Houston Frazier. Now, Houston Frazier was all OVC way back in 63-64, and it was the ETSU star when last time the Buccaneers hosted Tennessee 53 years ago at what is now Brooks Gym. And now the sellout game, 6,000 people coming up, a pair of tickets, only one left this morning that I saw, and it was going for about $245 for the pair for the ball game against Tennessee. But Houston Frazier was the star of the 63-64 Buccaneers. In fact, you kind of led the ETSU Bucs back from a deficit and put them in a position to win at the end. And because of that, Ray Mears after the game said, no more, we're not coming back. And it's been 53 years since the Volunteers have. Houston Frazier, and thank you for coming up here. But I guess when we go back that way, what do you remember about that season opener, 63-64? What do you remember about the pregame vibe?
Surprisingly, I have a vivid memory of the whole game, especially the last minute of time. We should have beat Tennessee, no doubt. We were ahead at halftime, 25-18. And the reason for the low scoring was that Ray Mears played a slow-down offense, trying to work it in to get a layup. And they caught up with us in the second half, and they went ahead by 1 or 2 points. And I was hot that night, and I hit 3 straight long-range jump shots. And the last one I hit put us up by 1 point. Okay? But there was only 9 seconds left on the clock. And so I figured we'd won the game. But when my shot was going through the net, Ralph Stout, who was a blind official man, he called a foul on Max Stiltner for boxing out A.W. Davis as my shot went through the net. And, of course, A.W. was hell of a player, and he went down, sank a 1-and-1, and put him up by 1 point. So we still had 9 seconds left to play. And Coach Brooks sort of told me, said, I want you to take the shot. Everybody get out of the way, let Houston take, because I just hit to the row. And anyway, I came across the half line, and both Tennessee guards were they were in my jock strap. I mean, up tight. And they were pulling on my jersey to the point that I don't know how Ralph Stout didn't see that, but he didn't. He said he was blocked off. But anyway, I went up. I split them just a little bit, and I went up, and I got a good look at the basket, but I was about 35 feet away, and I had every confidence that I could make it from there. But I saw Gary Sharman all alone down on the baseline. And at the last second, I flipped it to him. Gary missed the shot, which I still tease him about because he didn't hit anything. Poor Gary. His shot was about a 5-foot jumper, and it didn't even make it to the rim. Anyway, Gary was a hell of a good ball player, and I really, he's a great friend, too. But I'll tell you something, my thoughts on this are this. If we were playing by the current three-point shot rules, during that UT game, every shot I took was beyond the three-point arc. Willie Malone, who was my running mate at guard, he made it 2 or 3 from way out, 25, 30 feet out. And we would have won that game by 8 or 10 points if they had the three-point rule back then. And Ray Mears would not let his players shoot that far out. So they didn't make any 3 points. And I guess I have some good feeling about the fact that if we been playing about the current day rules, we would have won by 10 points.
I find that very interesting. Yeah, because I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, okay, outside shooting, and also the slow down tempo. In fact, Gary Sharman was talking to me yesterday when I was beginning to set these interviews up about about how it was a slow down tempo that mirrors it, and this was how they were able to get. How should I put this? This was how they were able to get the victory, or their not only the victory but their defense from putting up such good statistics. In other words, it was not so much that they were playing this great defensive ball; they were holding the ball in a pre-shot clock era, is what he was telling me.
Marky, that was Ray Mears' plan. Slow the ball down, dribble it around until you try to get a layup if you can. And they'd sit on the ball sometimes for 2 minutes, sometimes even more. Willie Malone, he was guarding their point guard. Danny Schultz, I think was his name. And Willie picked his pocket twice and went the length of the floor and laid it up, and I was laughing. I said, Willie, you're embarrassing that boy.
No.
But anyway, that slow down tempo was the reason the score at the half was only 25-18. They scored 18 points the first half. And now we must have been playing pretty good defense too, but at any rate, the game went back and forth, and there wasn't a time during that game I didn't think we were going to win. And I certainly said, if you'll just let me have one more shot, we'll win this game. Coach Brooks just snickered. But anyway.
He was double team, I guess, and such. But now, I want to ask you real quick. Ralph Stout, the official that called that foul, and I guess he was and a lot of ETSU fans will get this, he was the Doug Sermons of his day. Sermons was the official who called a technical back in 2008 against Kenyatta Swader that decided the A-Sun tournament game against Belmont, and a lot of people think that if that technical was not called, ETSU would have made the NCAAs that year. But first question, yes.
You know, the officials make mistakes. Ralph Stout was terrible. He might be a good guy. I don't know. But he called fouls on people when you never even touched them. And when Stiltner fouled A.W. there at the last, Coach Brooks had it on film. Stiltner never touched him. Never touched A.W. He called a foul for boxing him out.
Do you know if he was? Do you know if? I'm sorry to interrupt here, Houston Frazier, who was All OVC in 1964, last time that the Bucs and Volunteers played in Johnson City, and he had a huge game, leading the Bucs back to a point where they almost won. But Ralph Stout, was he any relation to Harold Stout, who was the baseball coach for years and years at ETSU?
Do what now?
Do you know if he was any relation to Harold Stout, who was a former baseball coach at ETSU?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what his background was. I just remember he refereed a lot of our games. And he was from East Tennessee, I think.
Okay. All right.
Somewhere around up in there. But anyway, I don't want to disparage Ralph Stout.
You're having your look. We have the hardest hitting opinions on this show, Tri-City Sports Now, Houston Frazier. So I have no problem with these ideas. But no, it is very interesting because this game. Back
in those days, the Ohio Valley Conference was one of the toughest leagues in the country. Western Kentucky, Eastern, Moorhead, and it was an extremely high honor for me to be named first team All OVC. That capped my career at ETSU, and it's a wonderful honor, and I'm grateful. But you got to look at it in the long run. If you take that All OVC slot and $1, you might be able to get a cup of coffee somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that Western Kentucky did make the Final Four out of the OVC back in '71. So, I mean...
They did it back in '64 also.
Okay.
They won the OVC that year, and they went to the semifinals.
Houston, I got to hold you on here. I got a break here.
It's the most wonderful time of the year to get a merry good deal at Bachman Bernard. Find the season's best prices on our full stock of Chevrolet, GMC, and Cadillac vehicles. Sure to make your season bright. Bachman Bernard, East Andrew Johnson Highway, Greenville.
Attention all job seekers. The Alliance for Business and Training in Irwin, along with Northeast State Community College, is offering one-year classes in college-level chemistry and math through the American Job Center Network. And upon completion of this course, they will update your resume with the goal of full-time employment. Interested individuals need to contact the American Job Center in Irwin at 423-735-5773.
Due to increasingly popular e-cigarettes, age-old sayings have now been changed. Please update your idiom vocabulary. A smoke break is now a vaping break. Smoke 'em if you got 'em is now vape it if you got it. Smoke and a pancake is now vape and a waffle. And can I bum a smoke is now where'd you get that pleasant smelling e-cig?
To learn more about vaping, Laughing Cat Vapors for the beginner to the advanced. Try the many flavors in-store before you buy and enjoy a cleaner, better-smelling alternative form of smoking. Laughing Cat Vapors in Elizabethton.
Christmas greetings from the troops, brought to you by Earth Effects.
Senior Airman Justin Coleman, currently deployed to Iraq, originally from Greenville, Tennessee. Just want to reach out and send my wife and son a happy holiday. I love you and I'll be home soon.
Earth Effects is a professional, experienced landscaping and hardscaping company. Earth Effects specialists can create your favorite patio, fire pit, outdoor living spaces, and walkways. Call Earth Effects for your free quote, 220-7705.
NBC News Radio, I'm Joe McConnell. It turns out the Berlin terror suspect has been on U.S. watch lists for months. The New York Times says Anis Amri was placed on the no-fly list after intelligence officials discovered he had researched explosive devices and communicated with ISIS. German investigators say they've linked him to the Christmas market attack through fingerprints. The market is back open. These shoppers tell Fox News why it was important for them to return.
Yeah, we will survive. And also with our values, we will survive.
It's just so terrible what happened. And yeah, I think Berlin lives on.
German police have installed concrete barriers to prevent another attack. Republican strategist Kellyanne Conway will soon become the highest-ranking woman in President-elect Donald Trump's White House. Trump's transition team announced today that Conway will be appointed counselor to the president. And a new USA Today Suffolk University poll reports 62% of Democrats and independents say Hillary Clinton shouldn't run for president again. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Gray skies turn blue, and with the sunshine, we warm up. 50 are high. Colder tonight, low to mid-20s. Tomorrow's partly cloudy. It's a little bit warmer, 52. We'll see some rain tomorrow night and rain on Christmas Eve. Temperatures on Saturday near 50. For 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities, I'm Terry Smith at the Weather Channel.
Hi. I found a toy dinosaur over on the playground by Smith Street. It had this phone number on it, and well, I just wanted to make sure the dinosaur made it back to its little owner.
Yeah, hi. I think I found your kid's stuffed animal near the swing set. Just want to call. I'm sure she misses it.
I know my son gets super attached to the smallest things, even a fire truck, and I'd be happy to drop it off. The toy was a little muddy, so I cleaned it up, and it's good to go whenever you're around.
When I found the little sippy cup, I just had to give you a call. It's for a kid, you know?
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 5 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger and give all of our kids the meals they need to grow. Learn how at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Tri-City Sports Now is pleased to have on, one of the things that kind of bothers me, and I was talking and lamenting that, so much of the attention of Tennessee's basketball game, well, just right there against ETSU, is going to be on the Vols in ETSU's home city. And I think one of the reasons why is that ETSU, in my opinion, has never touched their history the way that the Vols have, or certainly a professional team. And I mean, so I've got Houston Frazier. Now, Houston Frazier was all OVC in 1964. The last time ETSU hosted Tennessee was 1963-64 opening day. Houston Frazier led the Bucs back, a comeback. He just told a story about how he thought he had hit the clinching shot, but instead there was some foul called. It allowed UT to take the lead on a 1-and-1 with 9 seconds left, and that was the final. And then Tennessee says, no more, we're not coming back, and they don't come back for 53 years, and somehow around here they let them get away with this. So what I'm trying to do here is remember some of that great ETSU history. Well, I guess I'll ask you this, Houston Frazier, before we get into when you were drafted by the St. Louis Hawks. Yes, they were in St. Louis before Atlanta. Why did you choose ETSC back then to play college basketball? It was a program just up from the NAIA, just a few years and all that. What was the recruiting job Madison Brooks did for you to get you to come to Johnson City?
Well, it's a pretty simple story. I was being recruited by several colleges, Georgia Tech, Florida State, couple other big names, and then a couple of smaller schools. But Coach Brooks invited me up there, and when I walked on the campus at East Tennessee State, the scenery, the structure of the campus itself, I said, this is where I'm going to school. But Brooks, he had us try out, me and another guy that I played ball with in high school. We had to face off against two All-Staters from Virginia, and I was the only one that we beat those guys from Virginia, but I was the only one that he even offered a scholarship. And when he offered it to me, I said, let me have it. I'm going to sign up. This is where I want to go to school. That's all the recruiting he did.
That's quite complimentary. No, that's quite complimentary to the area. Yeah. I'm sorry.
They didn't come and wine and dine you and everything. Yeah. You were lucky if you got a shot to play college ball at all.
No, but that really, and I mean, fewer D1s back in those days, certainly, but that's very complimentary, Houston Frazier, of the area. Now, you told me you were drafted by the St. Louis Hawks, and while you were there, you just told me off the air, you didn't make the St. Louis Hawks, but you did stick around long enough to meet Stan Musial at, I guess it was his restaurant. What can you tell us about that?
Well, they surprised us. There was only about, I had made several cuts, and there was only about 5 or 6 of us left in the tryout camp, and they had said that we were going to go to Musial's restaurant, which he owned, and lo and behold, Stan Musial showed up and had lunch with us, and I was extremely impressed with him. He's one of the nicest guys you ever met in your life, and he's a professional all the way. He's a no-nonsense guy, and it was a thrill just to be able to meet him.
Stan Musial, I mean, is obviously, one of the great men of baseball, and certainly, it's before my time. His last year was 63, but nevertheless, I've read his biography and actually knew, believe it or not, his niece a little bit going to school in western Pennsylvania, because he's a native of Donora, PA. But anyway, just such a highly respected individual. So I got to ask you, was he eating ham sandwiches with a lot of mustard on them? That was supposedly one of his favorite lunches, Stan Musial. Do you remember that?
I don't remember what the dish was, but I'll tell you, you say you went to school in Pennsylvania. One of my teammates on the Phillips 66ers was a guy named Lou Skursinski.
Yes.
All-American at Westminster school in Pennsylvania.
NAIA school, very well known for basketball. I believe they made the NCAA tournament in 1941, the Westminster Titans. They're now an NAIA school. I got to tell you, I went to Geneva for a while. That was their arch rival. So I'll just let you know about that, and all that. But that's a big rivalry up there. And Skorsinski is a very big Western Pennsylvania name. In fact, Ed Chillis, ETSU's former coach, used to know, and I guess the joke would have been that they tried to avoid. There used to be a real gym rat would go to every high school basketball game in Western Pennsylvania named Deuce Skorsinski, who just passed away. So I wonder if there's any I'll have to look into that here for a second. Yes.
His first name Lou?
No, his first name wasn't Lou. Deuce never. His first name was Larry. He was actually from the Mon Valley of PA, but he was a well-known figure in basketball circles throughout PA. Houston Frazier, and I can't believe I'm talking about Deuce Skorsinski. But he was a guy who just, if there was a high school basketball game somewhere, he was there. And it was always said that the best high school basketball game of the day would be where Deuce Skorsinski was at. He was a guy saw 10,000 basketball games in his life, he bragged about. Anyway, but no, that's anyway. But the St. Louis Hawks, you told me that you were drafted there. You were actually it looked like you might be making a $12,500 contract with them, but then it didn't quite pan out. But you went to the Phillips 66ers, which was sort of a semi-pro or a second tier to the NBA at that time. There's no ABA at that time and only 8 NBA franchises. So what can you tell us about being drafted by the St. Louis Hawks and then playing for this team sponsored by Phillips 66 Oil?
Well, going to the Hawks was an honor. They called me one afternoon in the spring of my senior year and said that they were going to draft me and they wanted me to come to St. Louis for a tryout. So of course I went and did fairly well. I didn't make the team, but there was 23 of us in camp when I got there, and there was only 3 of us left after they did all their cuts. And one of them was Paul Silas, who was number 1 draft choice. Great star in his own right. But then Marty Blake there, I think he contacted Phillips Oil Company and said, you need to give Houston a shot. And I went down there to Bartlesville and tried out for that team and made it. And I played there a couple of years before Uncle Sam got after me, and I went and joined the Navy. Went through flight school and became a naval aviator, and my basketball career was over because I had signed a 5-year commitment with the Navy. And some of the guys I played with Phillips, Bobby Rasco, Darrell Carrier, went on and played with the Louisville Colonels in the ABA.
Oh, sure.
And I sent them a letter from overseas, and I said, it's a good thing I'm in the Navy, or one of you 2 guys is going to be sitting on the bench. And of course, they laughed. But we had a great camaraderie back with Phillips. It was a great experience, and I enjoyed it.
Well, now, who was the biggest name player in that league that you would have played against Houston Frazier?
Who was the what?
Biggest name player. Who would be the biggest name basketball player that you would have played either with or against there for the Barnesville Phillips 66ers?
How about Rick Barry?
Okay, now that's pretty important right there. Now what team did Rick Barry play on? I mean, we're all familiar with this career at the Warriors and the underhand shot and all that. But
this is before he went to the Warriors. He played for a team out of Jacksonville.
Okay.
It was an AAU team, and we met him in AAU tournament out in Denver for the national championship. And I think he scored like 30 points against. He was just a tremendous shooter and offensive player. Of course, if you remember correctly, he used to shoot his free throws underhanded.
Yes, I used to love that. Yeah, I mean, it's before my time a little bit, but I've seen so much film on it. Yeah.
He hit about 94% of his free throws. Man, nobody was shooting underhanded at that time that I know of, but he's a good ball player, and I played against a guy that was All-American, first team All-American. We played Boston College, an exhibition game up in Boston, and here's another guy I met. The coach at Boston College that year was Bob Cousy.
Yes.
And I met and talked to him for a while, and they had a guard named John Austin that played first team All-American. He had 26-point average. Coach paired me up against him, and we guarded each other for the whole game. And John, I held him to 2 points, 1 field goal.
That's not bad.
I scored 22. And I was starting to think, if this guy made first team All-American, something's wrong here. What am I doing? But it was funny. Austin kept hollering that I was fouling him and all this stuff. I said, shut up, crybaby. But anyway, that was an experience too. Boston College, Cousy was coaching. There was an All-American player that played for the Dayton Flyers. And I can't remember his name, a black guy that was really good. I mean, he went on to the NBA too. And then Akron had several good ball players. Larry Brown.
Sure. Later played the ABA with the New Orleans Buccaneers, and of course we know him as a coach.
Well, Larry was All-American at North Carolina, and he played there with the Akron Goodyears, and I had the pleasure of guarding him too, which wasn't really pleasant. But anyway, those were some of the big-name players that were playing in that league at the time, and it was very competitive, good ball players, great experience.
Well, we've been talking to Houston Frazier, who nearly led the ETSU Buccaneers back to a victory against Tennessee, the only other time that they've played in Johnson City. And, very interesting. You might have wondered, how did John Olson become All-American, but you were All-OVC, and that in itself is a rather impressive mark back from the 63-64 Bucs.
It was an honor, and sort of capped off my career up there, and I am blessed to have been involved with the sport for as long as I was.
Good. It's Houston Frazier. It is ETSU hosting Tennessee, first time since he played them in Brooks Gym, what's now Brooks Gym, 53 years ago. Tri-City Sports Now, our final segment, coming back after this.